YouTube. Welcome to our kitchen.
Today we're going to be cooking steak with green beans on the side.
So stay tuned. Okay, first things first. Hubby is going to prepare the onions that will be going into our steak. If you notice, he's doing moon shapes. So what we're going to do with this, we're going to just kind of saute those in with the steak. And he's going back over them. Okay, while Dad is preparing the onions and bell peppers, we will be using frozen French cut green beans. These are by Bird's Eye. I got them from Walmart. I love that they're French cut. They mix really well with the onions. And so this is what we'll be using. Also, I have steak here, which is sirloin steak. I've cut them up into 3.5 ounces. Hopefully after they're cooked, they're about 3 ounces a serving. And they're thin cut sirloin steaks. Okay, so we have our onions all ready. Now hubby's about to prepare the bell pepper. Again, a nice rough chop. Okay, Dad, don't show off now. I'm not going to the hospital tonight. I think he's showing off a little bit for y'all YouTube. So he always cuts the vegetables up when I cook. Alright, next thing we're going to do is get our steaks ready. And what I've done with these steaks, they are thin cut steaks. They're cut into 3.5 ounces. Okay, and the reason why I portioned them so I can know just how much I'm eating. Now, what I'm going to do is sprinkle just a little steak seasoning. And I'll tell you why I'm only doing a little in a minute. Just a little bit. Make sure it's all covered. Okay. And to the steak seasoning, I am going to add garlic powder. Get a little more free with that. And then I'm going to add crushed red pepper flakes. Now, the only reason why I only put a little, it's because I'm going to marinate this. So this is the marinade I'll be using. And it's a Lorne steak and chop marinade. And what you're going to do is just pour it over the meat. Now, let me get a fork because I know some people don't like to use clean hands. I always use my hands. Most cooks do. But I'm going to get a fork so I can move that around. Okay, so we have the marinade on, and what we're going to do is just make sure the marinade is covering all of the steak. It's basically going to be sitting in the steak. And to this marinade, those onions that hubby cut up, I'm going to also put that on top. Nice handful. As well as a nice handful of bell pepper. Just fold that in as well. all of it. Okay, so we have it all folded in. I'm gonna cover it, put it in the fridge for about an hour. You can also marinate as long as you want. If you want to do this, you can even do this overnight, or in the morning. But at least an hour of marinating the meat, and then we'll come back and we'll put it on the grill. See you now. Okay. Well, now our steaks are marinated. We're gonna go ahead and start our green beans. First thing we're gonna do is fry, and what I've taken here is 2 slices, just 2 slices of bacon. Chop them up into little squares. I'm gonna go ahead on and brown those. You want to brown that at a medium low heat. So this is actually a hardwood smoked bacon. It's not thick slice. Thick slice is fine. And like I said, this is 2 slices, roughly 80 calories, that we're going to add to our green beans and onions. We're going to get the bacon nice and brown. So we're going to go ahead on and let that simmer until it's nice and not dark brown, but just a little brown. Then we're going to go ahead and saute in our onions with it. Okay, so now bacon, just turned it over. You want to just kind of monitor it. You don't want it to brown. You don't want it to burn. You do want it to brown. And just cook a little longer. And I'm messing around with it with a little cookie spatula. But once I brown it, I'm going to saute in my onions. Okay, so now that it's a little halfway done, almost all the way done, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and cover it with our onions. Just turn your fire up just a little high. And this is about a cup of onions. And go ahead on and just saute the onion with the bacon. And again, turn your fire up to medium high at this point because we're sauteing them. And we're going to keep sauteing until our onions are nice and clear. Our onions are coming along fine. Now what we're going to do is just put a little seasoning on it. Right here I am adding a Cajun seasoning. Okay. Some black pepper. And you know my red pepper flakes will always be in my dishes. And go ahead on and mix that in really good. And let those onions caramelize a little bit more. And then we're going to just add our green beans. Be back in a moment. Alright, our onions have been nice and caramelized, and it is now ready for our green beans. I'm going to go ahead and pour them in. Try to cook a lot so I can eat them the next day, and also my husband can have some to take to work. So I usually use half the bag. Okay. So what we're going to do is kind of just get up under there at the bottom and lift up. bring the onions and the bacon throughout the green beans. Make sure your fire is turned up high, just till they start to simmer. And once you've lifted them up, lift the onions from the bottom a little bit. Just take your time because you don't want to knock them all over your stove. Next, we're going to add at least, I'll say, a cup of water. Depends on how much you cook. You might want to start off with a half a cup. And yeah, that's going to go right to the bottom. And at this point, we're going to bring them to a boil. Once they boil, then you're going to turn them on low and let them simmer for about 30 minutes. Okay, now I can put up my spatula and get my spoon. Alright, so we are now going to just let them come to a boil, cover them, let them come to a boil, and then we're going to turn them down and let them simmer for about 30 minutes.
Okay.
Alright, now we are ready to cook our steak. Make sure that your grill is nice and hot. It has been already sprayed with oil spray, and we're going to take our steak, just place it on the grill. It is nice and flat. Nice and flat on the grill. I'll take some of those marinated onions and throw it on top. Wow, that smells good. And make sure that it's turned nice. A nice medium-high temperature. Along with the marinated onions, I'm also going to throw some onions that are not marinated on top as well, and some bell peppers as well. And just let that cook at a nice medium high. Alright, now I'm going to go down and flip the steak. Of course, you know, it depends on how you like your steak. I like mine medium well. So I'm going to go down and cook the other side, as well as let your onions and bell peppers cook in the grill as well. Alright, so our beans are now simmering. I just turned the fire down. At this point, you can put a little salt, you know, season to taste. I'm going to add just a little salt to mine and a little more red pepper. Okay. That should do it. We have our green beans now done, as well as our grilled steak and onions and bell peppers. And we're ready to eat. Okay, YouTube, here's our finished product, which is our steak and our green beans. Enjoy!